White Bordeaux has a quiet reputation problem in the US. People hear Bordeaux and expect heavy reds, not crisp, textured whites that can feel just as serious and sometimes more revealing. This list fixes that blind spot. We're ranking French White Bordeaux wines from worst to best, not by label flex or price tags, but by how they actually drink. Balance matters. Texture matters. And above all, one question decides everything here. After the first glass, do you want another, or are you just being polite? Let's start at the bottom and work our way up. Number 11, Château de Cruzeau Blanc. Dead last doesn't mean undrinkable, it means unmemorable. Château de Cruzeau Blanc is the kind of white Bordeaux that technically checks the right boxes, yet never quite lands emotionally. On paper, it looks fine. Sauvignon Blanc from Pessac-Léognan, some oak aging, decent structure. In the glass, though, the experience feels thin and hesitant. Citrus shows up early but fades quickly. The mid-palate never really fills in, leaving the wine feeling narrow rather than expressive. What hurts Cruzeau most is its lack of presence. Nothing is wrong here, but nothing asks for attention either. The acidity keeps it upright, the fruit stays polite, and the finish slips away before you can form an opinion. It's a wine that behaves well, but never speaks up. In the US market, this often ends up as a safe pick, the bottle someone grabs when they want white Bordeaux without committing too much money or thought. And that's exactly the problem. This ranking isn't about safety, it's about intention. Cruzeau feels like it was made to offend no one, and as a result, excite no one. You'll finish the glass, but you won't reach for another with any real enthusiasm. That's why it starts at the bottom. Number 10, Château de Rochemorin Blanc. Rochemorin Blanc is where the list starts to feel more competent, but still restrained. This wine has polish. You can tell care went into its construction. The aromatics are cleaner, the structure more deliberate, and the oak presence more obvious than the bottle below it. On the first sip, there's a sense of order. Citrus and light tropical notes come through, supported by a frame that feels intentional rather than accidental. The issue is proportion. At times, the oak steps forward just a bit too confidently, shading the fruit instead of lifting it. Instead of feeling layered, the wine can feel slightly compressed, like it's holding back its own personality. There's a sense that everything is under control, but maybe a little too controlled. Nothing spills. Nothing surprises. For American drinkers, Rochemorin often reads as serious white wine. It looks grown up on the table and behaves well with food. But when you drink it on its own, the experience can flatten out quickly. The first glass feels correct. The second feels optional. That's why it sits here. Rochemorin is clearly a step up from the bottom of the list, but it still plays defense instead of offense. You respect it more than you enjoy it, and respect alone won't carry a wine very far in a countdown built around desire. If you're enjoying this breakdown, hit like and subscribe. I make more rankings like this that focus on how bottles actually drink, not how they look on Instagram. And let me know in the comments, do you prefer crisp whites or richer, textured styles? Number 9, Château Olivier Blanc. Château Olivier Blanc enters the list with a strong reputation and a slightly uneven payoff. This is a name that carries weight, and expectations rise the moment the bottle is opened. Sometimes the wine meets them. Other times it leaves you waiting for something that never fully arrives. That inconsistency is what defines Olivier's position here. When it's on, Olivier Blanc shows promise. The blend leans into texture with a broader mouthfeel than the wines below it. There's a waxy edge, subtle orchard fruit, and enough acidity to keep things from feeling heavy. The problem is cohesion. The elements don't always move together. Instead of unfolding smoothly, the wine can feel a little disjointed, as if each component is speaking a different language. In the US, this bottle benefits from its name and classification. It's often poured with confidence, assumed to be impressive before the first sip. But prestige can be a double-edged sword. When the glass doesn't quite justify the expectation, disappointment creeps in quietly. Olivier Blanc isn't bad. It's just unreliable in terms of emotional payoff. You might pour a second glass hoping it opens up further, but too often, it simply repeats itself. That hesitation keeps it out of the upper tiers. Number 8. Clos Floridene Blanc. Clos Floridene Blanc is where elegance begins to show, even if depth hasn't fully arrived yet. This wine is clean, fresh, and beautifully composed. The nose leans towards citrus and stone fruit, with a mineral edge that signals seriousness. On the palate, the texture is smooth but light, gliding rather than gripping. What Floridene does exceptionally well is balance. Nothing feels out of place. The acidity is precise, the fruit feels natural, and the finish is tidy. It's the kind of wine that makes a strong first impression without raising its voice. The issue is weight. Mid-palate presence never quite builds, which keeps the experience from feeling complete. For American drinkers, this is an easy bottle to like. It works beautifully with seafood, salads, and lighter dishes. It feels refined without being intimidating, but when you drink it slowly, by itself, you notice the restraint. The wine stays graceful, but never deepens. That places Floridene right here. It's undeniably pleasant and clearly better than the bottles below it, yet it stops just short of leaving a lasting mark. You enjoy the glass, you appreciate the craft, but when it's empty, you're already thinking about what might come next. Number 7. Château Carbonnieux Blanc. Château Carbonnieux Blanc feels like a wine that knows exactly who it is and refuses to chase trends. This is classic white Bordeaux in posture and temperament. The structure is clean, the fruit restrained, and the overall impression leans toward discipline rather than indulgence. Citrus and subtle orchard notes lead the charge, supported by a firm acidity that keeps everything upright and composed. What defines Carbonnieux is its seriousness. The texture is lean but deliberate, giving the wine a sense of direction even when the flavors stay understated. It doesn't rush across the palate. Instead, it moves slowly, almost methodically, making it especially well-suited for food. With the right pairing, it feels precise and confident, like it's finally in its element. On its own, however, the experience can feel a little reserved. The wine asks for context. Without a plate in front of you, the restraint becomes more noticeable, and the glass can feel more intellectual than pleasurable. This isn't a flaw, but it does shape how the wine behaves. In the US, Carbonnieux often acts as a bridge bottle. It introduces drinkers to more traditional white Bordeaux structure without overwhelming them. It earns its place here by being reliable and honest. Even if it doesn't chase excitement, you admire it, and with the right setting, you gladly pour another. Number 6. Château La Louvière Blanc. Château La Louvière Blanc marks a shift in tone. This is where the list begins to feel more expressive without sacrificing control. The wine opens with a brighter aromatic profile, offering citrus, light tropical notes, and a gentle floral lift that immediately feels inviting. There's clarity here, and more importantly, intention. On the palate, La Louvière shows a smooth, confident texture that carries flavor rather than letting it slip away. The acidity is present but not sharp, acting more like a guide than a spotlight. Oak plays a supporting role, adding dimension and softness without overshadowing the fruit. Everything feels aligned, as if the wine knows exactly how much energy to use. What sets this bottle apart is its ease. It doesn't demand attention, yet it rewards it. You can sip it casually or slow down and explore it, and both approaches work. The wine adapts to the moment instead of forcing one. For American drinkers, La Louvière often surprises. It feels more generous than expected, more modern in its balance, and more satisfying over time. The first glass is enjoyable. The second glass feels natural, almost automatic. That sense of flow is what pushes it comfortably into the upper half of the ranking. Number 5. Chateau Latour-Martillac Blanc. Chateau Latour-Martillac Blanc is where white Bordeaux begins to feel unmistakably confident. This wine doesn't just present flavors, it establishes a presence. From the first sip, there's a noticeable increase in texture and depth. The fruit feels layered rather than linear, and the structure finally grips the palate instead of gliding past it. The balance here is impressive. Citrus and stone fruit notes are woven together with a subtle creaminess that gives the wine weight without heaviness. Oak is more visible at this level, but it's integrated thoughtfully, contributing richness rather than distraction. The finish lingers, leaving behind a sense of completeness that the earlier bottles never quite achieved. What makes Latour-Martillac stand out is its identity. This wine feels like it has a point of view. It isn't trying to be universally pleasing, it's trying to be itself, and that confidence shows in how it drinks over time. Each sip reinforces the last, building momentum rather than resetting the experience. In the US market, this bottle often signals a step up in intention. It's chosen deliberately, not accidentally. The second glass isn't poured out of habit, but out of curiosity and enjoyment. That combination of structure, personality, and follow-through earns it this spot. Number 4. Chateau Malartic-Lagraviere Blanc. Chateau Malartic-Lagraviere Blanc arrives with authority. This is a fuller-bodied, more expressive wine that doesn't shy away from making an impression. From the first encounter, the texture stands out. The wine feels broad and confident, filling the palate with layered flavors that unfold gradually rather than all at once. The fruit profile leans richer here, with ripe citrus and subtle tropical tones supported by a creamy, almost polished mouthfeel. Oak is clearly present, but instead of dominating, it acts like a frame, giving shape and depth to the wine's natural intensity. The balance between power and precision is what defines this bottle. What's striking is how complete the experience feels. There's no sense of waiting for the wine to open up or hoping it improves with time in the glass. It arrives ready, structured, and expressive from the start. Each sip reinforces the last, creating a rhythm that keeps you engaged. For American drinkers, Malartic-Lagraviere often feels like a revelation. It challenges the idea that white Bordeaux must be light or reserved. This is a wine with presence and confidence, one that feels premium without being showy. The second glass doesn't feel like an indulgence. It feels like the correct next step. Number 3. Chateau Smith Haut Lafitte Blanc. Chateau Smith Haut Lafitte Blanc is where white Bordeaux starts to feel unapologetically luxurious. This wine doesn't ease into the experience. It arrives with confidence and makes its presence known immediately. The aromatics are bold and layered, offering ripe citrus, subtle tropical notes, and a polished, smoky undertone that signals serious craftsmanship before the first sip even lands. On the palate, the wine feels expansive. Texture is a major player here, creating a sense of weight that coats rather than passes through. The fruit expression is generous, but never sloppy. Oak influence is unmistakable, adding richness and depth, though at times it edges close to the spotlight. This is a wine that enjoys being noticed, and it doesn't pretend otherwise. What separates Smith Haut Lafitte from the bottles below it is its confidence and scale. Every element is turned up slightly higher. The finish stretches long, leaving a layered impression that evolves rather than fades. Still, there's a trade-off. The pursuit of impact can occasionally blur purity, making the wine feel more like a luxury statement than a quiet expression of place. In the US, this bottle often functions as a flex without feeling hollow. It delivers on expectation, especially for drinkers who enjoy richness and structure. You pour a second glass because the wine holds your attention, even if part of the experience is admiring how deliberately impressive it is. Number 2. Domaine de Chevalier Blanc. Domaine de Chevalier Blanc feels like the soul of white Bordeaux laid bare. Where the bottle above leans into power, this one leans into harmony. Everything here feels deliberate, but nothing feels forced. The aromatics are refined, offering citrus, white flowers, and a subtle mineral edge that hints at depth rather than announcing it. The palate is where this wine truly separates itself. The texture is layered and seamless, moving with quiet confidence across the tongue. Fruit, acidity, and structure work together rather than competing for attention. There's a sense of restraint that actually amplifies complexity, allowing the wine to unfold slowly instead of delivering everything at once. What makes Domaine de Chevalier special is its sense of balance over time. Each sip feels slightly more expressive than the last. The finish lingers with clarity, leaving behind freshness instead of weight. It's a wine that rewards patience, encouraging slower drinking and deeper attention. For American drinkers, this bottle often feels like a revelation. It shows that white Bordeaux can be serious, age-worthy, and emotionally engaging without relying on excess. The second glass doesn't feel like repetition. It feels like continuation. That quiet authority, paired with undeniable precision, earns Domaine de Chevalier its place just shy of the top. Number 1. Château Haut-Brion Blanc. Château Haut-Brion Blanc exists in its own category. This is not simply the best white Bordeaux on the list. It's a wine that reshapes expectations entirely. From the first encounter, there's an immediate sense that you're dealing with something rare and uncompromising. The aromatics are deep and layered, offering citrus, stone fruit, and a savory richness that feels both refined and intense. On the palate, the wine is astonishingly complete. Texture, energy, and depth move together in perfect alignment. The richness never weighs the wine down. Instead, it creates momentum, carrying flavor across the palate with precision and grace. Every sip feels alive, evolving even as it rests in the glass. What makes Haut-Brion Blanc unforgettable is how effortlessly it balances power and elegance. Nothing feels exaggerated, nothing feels missing. The finish is long, complex, and quietly commanding, leaving behind a sense of satisfaction rather than finality. It doesn't rush you, it invites you back. In the US, this bottle is more legend than fixture. When it appears, it demands attention without asking for it. The second glass isn't a decision, it's a reflex. Haut-Brion Blanc takes the top spot because it delivers not just excellence, but identity. This is white Bordeaux at its absolute peak. White Bordeaux doesn't shout for attention, but the best bottles don't need to. From quiet value picks to once-in-a-lifetime legends, this list proves how much range lives behind the label. Now it's your turn. Which one earned your second glass, and which one didn't?